What's happening, everyone? Welcome to part 2 of the Clive character guide. This one is about his combo system. It's not the simplest in the game, nor is it complex by any means, but there's a couple of things you have to learn for a few different situations. But for the most part, we're going to just go over the basics like we always do, and that way you can build combos as you see fit. Find something you're comfortable with and just roll with that. So be sure to check the Google Doc for all the other little details and stuff that we didn't talk about, just in case you're curious. First up, all your full combos start with launchers. Some way to get them in the air, on the ground, or whatever it is that starts the whole combo sequence. On normal hit, Clive does not have a ton of different launchers. First up is a basic down forward 2. It automatically comes out as 2 hits, so when it makes contact, the second hit comes out. You don't have to press the second button or anything like that, just a simple down forward 2, and you get that automatically. 15 frame startup, pretty standard. There's another move you can do where if you just press 2 twice after that, you get this slam that results in a tornado and the dash and all that stuff. This is kind of like a built-in sequence. You can't do other options in the air. You just do that one. So down forward 2, 2, 2 just does this, and you combo from there. Not something you're ever going to do. I wouldn't ever recommend doing that on purpose unless you forget and just happen to mash out the 2 and that results. Sure, there you go. Otherwise, down forward 2 is all you want. Forward 3 is a normal hit launcher that I also do not recommend using a lot. It's pretty slow, and it's very bad on block. Minus 14 is a lot just to be jumping over lows. I mean, there are tons of orbital heals in this game that are safe. This is faster, yeah, but it's not a very good balance to me. So I don't love that starter, but it's there. While Standing 2, however, is a good one. This is a nice long range, conventional While Standing 2, 15 frame startup. And this also gives you one of the bigger combos because you can do extra stuff in the beginning of it. So While Standing 2 is pretty good. Sidestep 1+2, this big hammer fist bops him up in the air, and it's plus on block. So if you're ever wrong, a nice little frame advantage never hurts either, right? But that's it. That's it for your normal launchers. Down forward 2, While Standing 2, just like in the old days. This little forward 3 flip, and then the sidestep. That's it. The rest are counter hits. So first up is counter hit back 1. Another move, it's not my favorite. It's a good move, it's homing, it's mid, it's got excellent range, but it's not safe. It's minus 13. I think that's just because it's a counter hit launcher. That seems like a bit much. Minus 13 is making me not want to use it as a counter hit launcher rather than, balancing. I don't know. Since that's a 17 frame startup, you have back 4 that's an 18 frame startup that is safe. This is completely safe on block, and you get a whole combo from it. So I don't get what the point is, right? Like, if you want a homing move, you use back 1. If you want a counter hit launcher, you use back 4. Back 1's kind of redundant in my book. Forward 2 is another safe mid counter hit launcher that's best from range. When you're out here, I talked about swatting flies in the main video. When they come buzzing around and they get close to you, you just swat at them with this thing and catch a counter hit and get a combo that way. So that's pretty neat. Another safe mid counter hit launcher is down 1+2, this Ramu spear. Bang. A little bit slower. 22 is fairly slow, but it's also safe. So again, back 1, I ask, why do you exist? So back 4, forward 2, down 1+2. All safe mid counter hit launchers. They're all pretty solid all around. Down back 4 is like a Lars down back 4. Pretty rangy. Doesn't go under lows though. If you look at the little meter thing down below, you can see it says crouching for an instant. That's just the instant of me pressing down back. This doesn't actually go under lows at all. You'll get jabbed out of this, unlike Lars. But it's plus on hit, and on counter hit, you get an automatic tailspin. It's a pretty good self-defense low when they're coming at you and you kind of just do this. You're better off to use other lows for poking offense, but when the spacing, the timing is just right, down back 4 is really good. Next up is down back 1. This is a high homing move, which is safe on block, and has a built-in extension. You just mash the 1, it's fine. On block, it doesn't come out. Notice I'm mashing it, nothing happens. On hit, the extension comes out, so you don't have to worry about it. But counter hit, you get a launcher. Just a weird launcher. They're really far away, and it can be hard to pick that up. So down back 1-1, counter hit launcher that's safe, but it is a high. Your Phoenix stance has only 1 counter hit launcher, 2-1. 2-1 on counter hit. It causes a slightly different fall for her. See, she's completely on her back. If you can recognize that, you can confirm the rest of it, but it's a little bit tricky. barely hit confirmable, if at all, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. You can at least kind of confirm that. If you have a pretty good idea of Phoenix 2-1, you can let her rip pretty safely for the most part. So Phoenix 2-1 is an automatic tornado. The last counter hit launcher is the flip kick from 3-3, for example. On normal block, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't connect. You're in the air and you get punched. Even if the string is a counter hit, that doesn't connect. You need the second hit to be the counter hit. Then you get a launch up in the air. That leads you to a normal full combo, or just do this. Just press 2 while you're in the air, and you get that 80 damage for free. It's a little silly, but it works. You can do the full combo that gets you like almost as much, probably, in the wall carry and everything that comes with it, but that's pretty sweet. If you ever in the world find yourself with a counter hit on that 3, you get a unibeam guaranteed. Why not? It's in there just because it's an homage to his game, and they couldn't find a better place to put 80 damage other than just like in a magical combo ender. And the last launcher is only available during heat mode. Forward 2 has a couple different options, but it doesn't have one. When you're in heat mode, you get forward 2-2-1. You can charge that up, and you get a guard break, and you get a free follow-up if they block that, or if they don't block it, you get a launcher. You got to dash up a little bit, but it's just the same launcher as everything else. So that's a really good string in heat mode. All around, that's got tons of utility. It works out pretty well. And one of those is a launcher if they just happen to guess wrong. That's one of those, man, I really regret that decision launchers. So you definitely want to play around with it and see how often you can land it. So what do you do when the opponent is in the air, on the ground, or whatever? Your combo opener, I usually describe as the move that you kind of have to do to start the combo. Things like this where they're on the ground and you have to hit them low or whatever to pick them up. Clive doesn't really have any of those that are totally unique. You can pretty much do the same set of stuff off of all of his launchers. Heihachi was the same way. Every single launcher Heihachi does, you could just do Electric Wind God Fist and then the rest of the combo. In Clive's case, you could do all the different combo paths we're going to talk about. The only thing that's relevant, in my opinion, is wall standing 2 and the back 2. You can't do that off of any other combo, and that leads to some nice damage. Back 2 is a pretty good opening shot. Otherwise, kind of don't worry about it, right? You just go over the combos that we'll see later, and they're all pretty much interchangeable. There's some variations in there, and there are some rules, if you want to call them, but we'll go over the whole sequences first. This is just to see what you're going to be building combos out of. First off, this sequence is written in purple everywhere it appears in the Google Doc. This can be done off of any one of your launchers and leads to a couple of different combo choices. This might even be preferred. It just takes a little bit of practice to get used to it because it's kind of weird. So the purple sequence is down, back, 1+2-1. But when you're an airborne opponent, he flies up in the air with them and you press 3. You're doing updraft 3, right? You can do up and you can go into this little hop thingy. That does it automatically. That string takes you into the air with the opponent like that. And the instant you're in the air, you press 3. And you can dash up and do the rest of the combo. We'll talk about that later. So down, back, 1+2-1. And then in the air, you press 3. There's a just frame on that. If you hit the 3 just at the peak, you get like 1 bonus damage, but it's not something you got to worry about. That's a pretty universal combo starter. You could do that off of everything and then do the dash up the rest of your combo from there. There's one easy, there's one super duper hard mode, and there's something you can do differently in heat. That's kind of all you need. But other than that, you could do some variety of combos, different paths, different things, and we'll talk about those strings and what they do. There's 3 kind of opening strings that I want to mention. They are forward 2-1. You could do down, forward 1-4, does the exact same damage. Or you could do a down 1 into a while standing 4. Do not mash that 4. If you mash that 4, you get the Phoenix shift. So do not mash it. Down 1 and then while standing 4. That's the third one. Now the third one does the best damage, but it leads to some paths that do not work against female characters. You have to use the other 2, forward 2-1 or down, forward 1-4 to do the path. However, you've got a couple of launchers like this one where down, forward 1-4 is not an option. So there's some caveats in there. We'll talk about that more later on. But those 3 choices you could pretty much use for most of your launchers. down 1 while standing 4 works off every launcher. But if you're fighting a female, you got to change the path. That's it. Or Leroy or Lee, whatever characters have small hitboxes. I don't know what they are. But that's kind of it. The purple sequence you're going to use a lot, and then one of those 3 other launchers, and then it leads you into a different tornado. That's kind of all you need to know. Back 2 and down forward 1, 2, they both cause the spinny thing, the aerial spin, whatever that's called. They both do that, but you're pretty much only going to see those towards the end of combos, at the very, very end of it, because they're relatively slow. But those are going to show up too. As far as your tornado goes, there's a couple of things. Again, first up, we talked about the purple sequence is the string that automatically puts you in the air. The red sequence, as it's written all throughout the Google Doc, you do the same string, but you press 2-2. That causes your tornado. The double slam to the ground is your tornado. So that's written in red everywhere. You're going to use one of your opening strings and then use that as your tornado. However, if you did the purple starter, for example, you got to dash up, then you would do this one. And here's the purple sequence. 3. And I dash up and did 4-4 into your Phoenix stance. Dash up 4-4 and hold forward. And then you do Phoenix 2-1. That whole sequence, 4-4 into Phoenix 2-1, that's written in blue. That's your go-to tornado if you did the purple one. Or other places, right? You can do lots of different stuff. You can do jab, 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 right? If you forgot what you were doing, then do the blue sequence. That's fine. I want you to call it the blue sequence kind of in your head. That way it'll stick that way. If you're in a panic mode and you forgot what to do, oh, I don't know what comes next. I'm just going to jab and jab. Oh yeah, blue sequence. Blue sequence will be kind of ingrained. You could just throw that out. That color, that affiliation, seeing it in print, that'll help it stick in your mind as a go-to. And you'll see it starts coming out automatically rather than having to like specifically memorize details like I talked about in the beginning. I think that helps. A couple of other tornado options that you might use here and there. Down, back, 2-1. Another good thing if you forget what to do. If you can't remember anything else, all the other color sequences, down, back, 2-1 is pretty reliable. You just don't see it a lot. I wanted to mention 2-2-2 just because it's kind of unique. It uses the dog and the shift and everything. I don't know. You'll see it. It's not the best. Heat mode, you get one other option that's kind of cool, which is this. Up 1 + 2, 2, 1. That whole thing ends in a tornado, which you can use in heat mode. That's kind of cool, honestly. It does add some extra hits, but it adds some extra damage too, and it's fairly cool. The last tornado you're going to see is the Unibeam, but it kind of works all as one. You have to do this tornado right into the Unibeam, and that's it. You have to do 3-3 to go into the stance, and then hit him with the Unibeam. The 3-3 is the tornado, right? If I just do 3-3, that's the tornado. I could do regular combo stuff, sure. But if you're going to use 3-3 as the tornado, just do Unibeam. Get your damage. So there's that. So if you're not going to use Unibeam, all your other combo enders are pretty much going to be some hits into your stance. You're going to end with the Phoenix stance off of most of them. And that's where you're going to see back 2 and down forward 1 appear the most. So we'll do things like back 2 into Phoenix 2-1, for example. Do the exact same thing. And I'll do down forward. God damn it. Do the exact same thing. And we'll do down forward 1-2. Into Phoenix 2-1. So Phoenix 1 will give you the most damage straight up at the end of it. You do back 2, Phoenix 1. That'll get you the most damage. Phoenix 2-1 will get you the best wall carry. And Phoenix 2-2 will switch sides. And that little animation charges your Zentetsu gauge as well. So if you're approaching the wall, you want to stick to Phoenix 2-1 because you just might get the wall from there. And Phoenix 2-1 gets you the nice carry at the end. Otherwise, if you're like in an infinite stage or out in the open, 2-2 switches sides and charges gauge. You can use one of those. But best raw damage, Phoenix 1 gets you like 2 or 3 extra damage. You can do whatever you want. It really doesn't make a huge amount of difference, whatever the situation calls for. But that's what you do post tornado. That's at the end of your combo. Either back 2 or down forward 1-2. They're pretty interchangeable. Do one of those things into your Phoenix ender and you're good. And last thing to talk about is Zentetsu. 1 + 4, this unique sword attack that he does. Once it charges up to level 2 or better, you can see it's just a dumb sword. But once it's level 2, it becomes a super. So then you could do things like an entire combo, for example. And then Zentetsu. And once it's level 2, it turns into that super with the follow-up animation there. 71 damage is pretty comparable. Once it's level 2, that's going to do about the same damage as the rest of your combo enders. It only goes up from there. Just to show you the real lesson here. But we'll do it with a level 5 Zantetsuken ender. Now he's pissed off. You're going to get hit with every little thing. Look at that. 98 damage off of that. So, when you have level 2, you could start using this as your ender, but if you have level 3, 4, and 5 charged up, you should switch to using Zantetsuken as your combo ender. Prior to that, level 2, comparable, either way, doesn't matter. Level 1, it's not a super ender at all. You just have to use level 1s to charge it up. So the last thing you could do would be your heat mode in combos. And for the most part, you want to activate heat in a combo and not spend it. You want to finish your combo and then have your heat mode ready to go. It's like a free way to get into heat mode without too many drawbacks. So you would basically just do the ender that we talked about, back 2 into Phoenix, right? You're ending combos that way. Instead, you could just do back 2 right into heat burst and then do the combo normally ender, just like you would any other time. That's fine. Now you got heat mode, you're ready to go. If you want to spend it all and get an extra little damage to kill, you do the same thing. Back 2 to activate your heat engager, and then down forward 3-1 is your go-to ender. All your heat engagers, if you've activated in the same combo, cause that same slide. Doesn't matter if they were the launching type or not, all your heat engagers will do that same thing. They cause that slide, and in that slide, down forward 3-1 is your ender. So if you need an extra like 8 damage to win the round, you could go to the very end of the combo, you're back 2, and activate, use your heat engager and then the skid to get 83. That's like 8 to 10 more damage than you could have done with that combo. So if you need that 8 to 10 damage to kill, go for it. Otherwise, just do your heat burst and then do the normal ender and go about your business. I wouldn't recommend using heat in any other way unless it kills. So now let's put it all together in full combos. Most of his normal launchers will be able to follow the same combo paths with a few little twists. Down forward 2, while standing 2, sidestep 1+2, counter hit of back 1, and the heat mode string where you charge up, forward 2, 2, 1, dash up. Those are all pretty straightforward, but forward 3, counter hit back 4, and forward 2. Those have a slightly different wrinkle to them that we'll talk about a little bit more later. There's some slightly different changes you need to make with those. So to start with the universal path that works on every launcher, we call this the purple sequence in the tools section. It's down back 1+2, 1, and then you press 3 while you're in the air during updraft. The little blue sparks come out when you hit 3 at just a peak of your jump and you get 1 bonus damage. It really means nothing. It's not something you have to worry about. But this path works on every launcher, and there's an easy combo that you still got to practice a little bit. You really just have to learn how to land from the air and dash. It's not super hard, but it's not something you generally have to do in combos. You don't have to dash forward in too many combos. You have to dash forward and do 4-4 into Phoenix, and then Phoenix 2-1 is your tornado. That's what we call the blue sequence in the tool section. So basically all this is a launcher, the purple sequence, and the blue sequence. And then whatever ender you want to do, you can pretty much interchange all those. We talked about the one for damage, the one for wall carry, and the one for switching sides. Those are all interchangeable with the length of all these combos. So the first one in total is just the launcher, the purple sequence, dash up into the blue sequence, and then whatever ender you like. That's the damage ender. Boom. If you're in heat mode, you get access to a slightly cooler tornado attack that you don't have to dash. Same purple sequence. Then you do up 1+2, 2-1. And you get the tornado that way. The amount of hits don't really matter. He covers so much ground doing that, it pretty much works out the same way. I think it might be 1 extra hit, but it's not going to affect anything. So you get like 6 or 7 more damage when you're in heat mode by just using that tornado instead, and it's easier to do. The third option, it's in the Google Doc. You do the purple sequence, and then you have to dash up and do down forward 1, 4, 3, and then you do unibeam. It's exceptionally hard to do. It looks like this, but the dash timing is just excruciating. I do not recommend practicing it, but if you want to check it out, that's what it looks like for 81 damage. It's cool, but I think you're going to lose out. You're going to get close to that damage anyway by not dropping combos. So that's it for the purple sequence, as we call it. One easy path, one heat mode path, and one super hard high damage path that you don't really have to worry about. Now, we talked about other opening strings in the tools section. Strings like down, forward, 1, 4, for example. Forward 2, 1, same amount of damage. And down 1 into while standing 4. Now, ladder one does the most damage. And you can do all of these from the launches that we talked about, except for those last 3. Forward 3, counter hit back 4, and counter hit forward, forward 2. Those launchers you have to do down 1 while standing 4. The first 2 are not going to work. Right? Down, forward 1 does not work. So you could just stick to down 1 for all of these launchers if you want to. Now, the paths to look at here are pretty much the same thing. You can do what's essentially just the blue sequence again. Down 1, while standing 4. Blue sequence into tornado, just like that. You can stick some jabs in there and some dash jabs to cover a little extra distance if you want. If you feel like squeezing a little bit more to get that wall, that works there too. And again, all these enders, pick whichever one you want. Back 2 into Phoenix stuff, doesn't matter. If you're already in heat mode, you can do the tornado that we talked about here as well. Just a simple jab first to stabilize it, and then your combo enders from there. Now, the next sequence is the reason you would do this path. However, there's a caveat. It's down back 1 + 2 1 again, and when you get in the air, you do updraft 2 2. This isn't going to work on female characters if you did down 1 as your opener. I'll switch to the other opener. I'll do down forward 1 4. Then I'll do this part. This is what we call the red sequence. That works perfectly fine. Down back 1 + 2 1, and then updraft 2 2 for your tornado. That's the red sequence in the tool section. However, you cannot do that if you did down 1 while standing 4 as your opener versus female opponents. So if you've been paying attention, you have to do that as your opener for those last 3 launchers. Therefore, you just simply can't do that path. On any small hitbox characters, for those 3 launchers, you just can't do the red tornado path from there. You got to pick something else. Not a big deal. You can always just use the purple one. That's universal. But for this little opener string path, the down forward 1 4 type stuff, you got to skip that one if you use one of those 3 launchers. But there is a little justice in there. You can get max damage again out of this path versus female characters by using Unibeam. That doesn't look like that's going to reach. And it might drop from max distance, but you should be okay as long as you do that fast enough. So that's 73 damage. That's 1 point more damage than you were going to get doing the red tornado anyway. So if you want to go to Unibeam at that route, that's pretty much the best damage you're going to get. That works on female characters. You don't have to switch the opener. So the only wrinkle that's in there is the best opening string does not let you do the red sequence on females. And since you're locked into that string for 3 launchers, those 3 launchers, you take a slightly different path. Or, like I said, just do the purple sequence on all of them and not worry about any of that. It doesn't really matter. It's a minimal amount of damage difference between most of these. It's more important that you be comfortable with the combo that you like and not drop it, rather than going for max damage and missing out on, 15 damage every time because you dropped. It's cool. I want to mention while standing too, because you can do back 2 as your opener for this. Seems like it's the only one. Back 2 gets you some nice damage. And then you can do your red tornado there if you want. Pick your ender. You have 1 hit left over, but I can't find a good place to reinsert that hit later in the combo. It's fine. That's doing more damage than any of the other launchers anyway, without using heat mode or whatever. That 76, that is the max damage that we've seen so far outside of Unibeam stuff. So while standing 2 into back 2 is a nice chunk of damage. That's one worth remembering. The rest of it, just pick one. Your purple sequence or your openers, and just remember the female twist. So where it actually starts to get a little bit complicated are the automatic tornadoes. Counter hit on down back 4 is 1 hit, as is counter hit down 1 + 2, the Ramu spear. Those are single hits, and so it's just fine. Things get complicated when you have to do Phoenix 2 1. It's 2 hits. Changes your juggle counter and stuff like that. So the best combo to start off with, just off a single hit, You can use this back 2 that we like. And then you're down 1 while standing 4 part. That works just as fine here. You don't have to worry about substituting that out if you don't want to. And then right into what's basically the blue sequence. I'm just doing 4-4 and dashing, except here you could do almost any Phoenix option. Instead of Phoenix 1 or Phoenix 2, Phoenix 3 stuff is an option in this case, which lets you do floor breaks. So I'll show you that again. Back 2, down 1 part, 4-4, into Phoenix 3, 1+2 in this case. So it lets me get a floor break and continue the combo off of that, or whatever other options. So you basically do the blue sequence there, except you can do any Phoenix ender you want pretty much. But it doesn't work anymore when you got 2 extra hits. If you're doing counter hit Phoenix 2-1, you're not getting that anymore. 4-4 suddenly too far away, you're out of hits, that doesn't work. So the compromise isn't too bad. You can do the same thing with back 2, and then you can just tack on the red sequence and get a nice chunk of damage that way. That's 67. That's comparable to everything else that we're doing. So back 2 for the spinny float, and then just the red tornado sequence. It'll just smack them into the ground since your tornado's already gone. Counter hit down back 1-1-1. This is even dumber because it's 3 hits, and it puts you half world away for some reason. So dash up and do your red sequence, 53, 54, whatever it is. I can't do much better than that. That's about all you're going to get there. I can't find any other like reasonable combo paths where you could do cool stuff anymore. And that's it. Everything else is going to drop because of the 3 dumb hits that are in the beginning. So stick with that and move on. If you find something else, I'd love to know, but I tried everything I could think of based on the tools that we have. So, and the last one to go through is the combo that I mentioned in the beginning that you're never going to do, down forward 2-2-2, all this stuff. That's 5 hits. So you're just out of options. There's very few things you could do. My go-to that I wrote down is just a down forward 1, and then the down forward 1-2 ender. That's it. Do that and go home. It's fine. You're not going to see that one ever. Down back 1-1-1 might show up, so if you do find something better, definitely use it. Otherwise, that's kind of all you got. So your tornadoes are all different because they all have a different number of hits locked into them. So you kind of have to learn those individually. But for the most part, if it's 1 hit, you have the nice cool combo with all the flexible options. If it's 2 hits, you do a back 2 in the red sequence. And if it's 3 or more hits, you just do the red sequence. That's kind of all you need to know there. The rest of it's in the doc. Check them out and you'll see, oh yeah, that's all he's doing. It's just blah, blah, blah. It makes sense. So the last unique group of launchers are the counter hits into flight stance. Notice 3-3 on counter hit does not do anything. Even 3-3 on regular hit just flips them back. You need that second hit to be the counter hit. And then you get that high launch into the air. As we mentioned before, if you get a launcher of any kind into flying, just do unibeam. Look at that, was 80 damage for 1 button. I landed 1 counter hit and I pressed 2, and you get 80 damage from that. That's fine. But as we see, every time you lose the wall position and you're a mile away and the momentum is gone and all that. So you might want to just stick to a conventional combo so you maintain that flexibility. So once you're in the air from the hit, you have this one little pew-pew attack. This laser beam from your 1 button. When it hits, he automatically Phoenix shifts up at you, and you get to continue a basic combo from that point. So the combo that I like looks like this. So you just use your Phoenix shift and do right into 2-1 and get your tornado early. And since you're nice and early, you can do a back 2. And then from back 2, I just do 4-4 into Phoenix Ender like we've been doing. Basically the blue sequence, except you can do any Phoenix Ender you want. Just like with the early tornadoes that we saw, you can do that here. You can do Phoenix 1 for damage, 2-1 for wall carry, 2-2 to switch sides, or you have access to the Hell Sweep options out of the Phoenix. If in case you wanted to break the floor, for example, you could do that path here. Right? Phoenix 3, 1+2 lets you do that and get more combo that way. So you can do any ender you want on a combo that's short. And that ended up being like 77 damage or something like that, as opposed to 80 from the unibeam. So I think that's preferable because you maintain the flexibility and control and all of that stuff, rather than 3 damage for unibeam. But that's up to you. If you're ending the round, right, unibeam is the way to go, obviously. So wall combos are pretty straightforward for Clive. There's nothing fancy in here. He doesn't get huge damage, but he has a large arsenal of things that cause wall splat. So when you have him in this corner position, you're going to be really good at splatting him to the wall and getting smaller chunks of consistent damage that way instead of like crazy oaky situations and whatnot. So it's pretty straightforward here as well, but it works well. Your combo, if you use the whole thing and you barely get to the wall and they stick and they're at the wall, we'll look at those by doing back four. Forward 2-2-2. That's number one. Nice and easy, simple, basic damage. Can't get any better than that, right? Nice and easy. But they're all pretty easy, and you can get more damage, so why not figure that out? How about this one? Down forward 1-2, down forward 1-2 into Phoenix 2-1. That whole thing works. You get all four of those hits, which seems crazy. That's the only combination of Phoenix shift I can get to work. Nothing else works. Down forward 1-2 is the magic one there. It's hit stun combination or whatever is the one that works. Down forward 1-2, Phoenix 2-1. That's pretty cool. You get a little bit more damage still by doing forward 2-1, and then your 1+2. The 1+2 palm strike, that hits grounded at the end, which is why you get so much damage. You can see where it says 12 damage 50%, because it does that grounded damage rescaling trick. So at the end of your combo, that's going to do the most damage. The longer and longer your combo is, the more valuable that one becomes, because that last hit is unscaled. The last interesting option to look at off your basic wall splat is down forward 3-1. This always tends to do nice damage. Doesn't have the scaling gimmick or whatever, but it always does good damage on a grounded opponent. This is your go-to for like heat dash skids, and it works as the wall combo too. So if all else fails, you could kind of just stick to that one. Not so bad. If you want to break the wall off of one of these, 3-2 is a pretty good go-to choice. Do note that it's the dog that breaks the wall. Look for the little green symbol to appear. The dog is breaking the wall. So if you end up off axis or too many hits or whatever, that might tend to miss. The dog can be a little erratic. But otherwise, if you just need to break the wall desperately, we have a million things that can do that, like 2-1, for example. Those are everywhere. Breaking the floor, you got 2-2, 1+2. That is your go-to for decent damage, and the break at the end of all of those hits. That's if you had a combo that ends at the wall. If you splat into the wall like we talked about here, you can still do your tornado. If your tornado is still available, you can just do it at the wall like nothing is wrong. So for a one-hit tornado, down 1+2, the Ramu Spear is pretty much your only choice. And if you do that, you can do everything we just talked about. They all work. Forward 2-2-2. Now we're up to 50 damage. You can still do down forward 1-2. Get all four of those hits. That works. We have forward 2-1, palms. We have down forward 3-1. Still works, still does nice damage. 3-2-2 works, but you're going to be on the edge of that starting to miss here pretty soon, but it's there. And your floor break. 2-2, 1+2. Bang. 50 damage and the floor break. Another cool thing to take a look at is using your flight stance, not for Unibeam, but for some options. You do down forward 1-4-3, and then Phoenix shift and be right on top of them. That's kind of cool. You could probably work with that a little bit. It's a decent enough chunk of damage. It's almost the same amount of damage, but you go right into Phoenix, and if they've tech rolled, you should follow them in the right direction. Play around with that, see what you could do. Phoenix slide is really dirty. You're going to hit people with that a lot, so that might be kind of cool to play around with those options instead of the raw damage. Two-hit tornado attacks, however, are going to change the game up. You have down back 2-1, and you get to do Phoenix 2-1 here, like you've been doing in combos. That works at the wall as well for 2 hits. But doing that, you've lost pretty much all the options of everything that we just talked about, except for the Hell Sweep. Down forward 3-1 is pretty much the only thing that works. But that's comparable damage, right? It's 53. I think the most we were getting otherwise is 55. 55. So that's fine. It's not that big a difference. However, another 2-hit tornado you might think to remember is 3-3. What do we do from 3-3? We do Unibeam. There you go, 63 damage. Right away, that's the most damage. So we could have just skipped all of this and said, if you still have your tornado available at the wall, right? If you got a wall splat, 3-3 Unibeam. That's all you need to do. That's more damage than anything else you have. But again, you lose the positioning. You're a mile and a half away. That might not be worth it. But to keep that in mind, Unibeam does that. Max damage, no flexibility. So that's kind of all you need, right? Either go for the Unibeam or go for the one-hit tornado and your basics. Your basics that are just like every other character. This isn't huge damage, but you're going to have enough opportunities for wall splats because it's something the character is good at. So I think that covers it. It's not a robust combo system necessarily, but there is a lot of stuff that you could do. You could keep it super duper simple and just stick to the ones we talked about, right? The purple and the red or whatever, and that's it. So I would definitely recommend that. Find a combo you like, stick with it, and do it everywhere. And then if you feel like you could squeeze some more out or you want to learn better, what do I do when I get to the wall? Blah, blah. Go check the doc, go review some stuff, and then learn some more from there. Otherwise, this is a pretty simple character with a pretty simple combo system. So if you've got anything else, some extra damage bonuses that I missed out on, something I didn't think of, or like a cool wake-up trick that is worth learning, let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate it. Other than that, be sure to click subscribe and like and notify and all that stuff down below for more videos that are coming in the future. And hopefully I will see you there. Later.